plein air or studio? What's the best? What's your favorite?
Depends.
Depends on.
That's a hard question right off the bat. Plein air, I use as a means of not only increasing my skill set, getting faster, getting more efficient, and getting more brave. I also use it as a meditation.
Ooh.
I know, right? It's very zen.
Wow. Out
Very
plein
zen.
air is zen?
Yeah.
Swatting flies and eating mosquitoes is zen? Wow. I've never heard that.
No, you're missing the point there, though. What it's really about is how do I focus on my painting, even though I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes, and even though my gear tumbled over and I had to start again. So what it does is it cultivates the ability to focus and be fully present in what you're doing.
Wow.
That's what I love about it. That's it.
Boys and girls, Potato Water Thursday. Gaye Adams is in the house. Did you just hear that? We're already deep and delicious, and we've just begun. That's awesome.
You shouldn't have given me a glass of wine. That's the problem, Doug.
That was hey. I'm just here to ask the questions. I'm just a facilitator. That's it.
That was a good question.
That's it. How zen are you in the studio then? Do you have? Okay, let's go back. How zen are you in the studio? Do you have a zen music? Do you listen to music? Do you have a routine? When do you paint? When don't you paint? I know, loaded question. I'll sit back. We'll be back in half an hour after she's done.
Okay, that's another no definite answer. I keep a regular painting schedule because I need to produce a certain amount of work. Some days I'm down there in my pajamas with a cup of coffee, admiring what I did the day before, or the night before. Other times,
do you really admire it, or are you like beating yourself up the next day?
Depends. These are great open-ended questions. Sometimes you can see the claw marks going into the studio because there's something on the easel. There's a problem that I created that I don't know how to solve, and I'd rather be doing the laundry.
Never, ever.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
At least the laundry, you sit down and you do the laundry and then it's done. Whereas with a painting that's going sideways, you can go around and around and around.
You can go around and around with your laundry too and never get it. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, you're right. There. Yeah. I really do you. I mean, how long you been painting, and do you still come downstairs in the morning and hope that the painting fairies have fixed that problem from yesterday? And you're like, no.
Well, painting fairies, I don't know. My perception changes sometimes. I'm sure you find the same thing, right? You think that you're doing something brilliant, and then you look at it the next morning and you go, oh, or vice versa.
Oh, I've had,
but
absolutely.
Usually the first one.
Yeah,
Usually the first one.
A little bit more, I'm excited, and I go down and go, seriously, dude, really?
Yeah, like what were you thinking?
Yeah. Or I bring it upstairs and go, I don't know. But I have taken photos of things, then gone back and fixed them and went, why did I fix that? It was actually a really good painting. What did I miss?
Oh, I hate that.
Right?
Yeah, it happens. But I notice in your studio, you've got a considering chair.
I do.
You can't have a studio without a considering chair.
Thank you. I do have one.
Like you want to, look twice and paint once.
Robert Genn taught me that.
Yep.
You got to have a scotch and what do they say? Paint sober, edit drunk, and just sit down, have a scotch, and be honest with yourself about what you're doing, and have a considering chair.
And Bob Genn was a good friend of mine, actually.
Oh, you knew him that well, really?
I knew him quite well, and his favorite saying was when he was looking at developing painters' work.
Bob. You must have known him.
Bob, the Bobster. The Bobster. He would say to people that were learning how to paint, that were just, looking for the silver bullet, what brush do I use to, how do I get brilliant? You know what he would say? Go to your room.
Right.
Go to your room.
Right.
Which was brutal, but truthful, because there's just nothing that can replace studio hours.
Nothing.
And, I think that taking classes and workshops can shorten a learning curve, but it's not going to replace the easel hours. Nothing can.
Nothing will. I had a teacher tell me, Randy Sexton, R.I.P. Bless you, Randy.
Yes, I heard about that.
I took 2 workshops from him, but he came up and taught a workshop here and stayed at the house. And we had a week together, a full week with Michelle and I and everything. We hung out and just to watch him take photos and do things was incredible. And his thought process about what he's thinking about painting, not painting, but what he's thinking about and everything. But he said to me and looked at all my work and said, watched my, what I was doing and said, "You're over workshopped. That's your problem."
Oh.
And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, dude, you don't paint enough. You're too busy trying to find the golden ticket." He goes, "You know how to paint. You can paint. Just go paint. Get in the studio and paint. It's all there. You don't need any more lessons. You know what you're doing. If you're struggling with something, maybe down the road, take a lesson. But now, just
paint.
Just paint. Just paint."
Well, and they say that I have students say, I'm just trying to find my style, and I don't think a style can be created or invented. I think it can only be uncovered with easel hours.
Absolutely,
it can be uncovered.
Right?
Yeah, and
so I always thought this is old school, and maybe like you're younger than me, but you'll remember this.
I don't think I am.
I think you liar. I think you are. I'm older than you think I am. But when we went to school and we learned printing, stick and ball writing, and then you went to cursive writing, and you had to, for those of you who don't know what cursive is, we're going to start writing you letters, and you're not going to know what we're talking about. When we did cursive writing, they never said to you, "Now remember, children, when you're doing your cursive writing, make sure you have your own handwriting style. Everybody must be different." No, you just learn cursive writing, and everybody's handwriting is different. Don't matter what you do. Your painting is always going to be different than someone else's. You don't have to find a style. It's just there. Style comes out of being, again, in the studio.
Exactly right. And when people are over workshopped, they can start emulating one painter or another. But I think that, instead of being worried about that happening, you just do that. And then you keep on painting, and whatever it is that's trying to surface will surface.
It will if you're cognizant of that and keep pushing for that, it'll come. And you I mean, look at Led Zeppelin didn't invent the blues, but they sure took it to another level. So you can find something and emulate something, but you can take it or make it different or take it to the next level.
Yeah,
absolutely. Exactly. But the only way you do that is by being in the studio. Again, you got to put the hours in.
You do. And that's one thing that I love about plein air, circling back to that. For me, when I'm plein air, I'm working small. And I think every painting you do teaches you something. The thing is, with small paintings, you can do more of them. So then you get more paintings done. And I think you learn more because every new painting is a fresh set of problems to solve.
Always.
All these relationships and edges and everything to solve. And I just think if you go through a lot of small studies, which is what you do with your 20-minute studies, which I think is brilliant, then you just get moving and just keep painting. And, the learning will happen.
Well, I always say every blank canvas is a battle. It's right there, and it's me against the elements and everything that goes on. And I love the little mini ones where you're just having a little battle. The big canvas, like, do we really want to have an epic war on our hands and just like, God, I'm battling this thing for days and like, oh my God. I mean, sometimes it's worthy and sometimes you win, but the outdoors, the little ones, I love it. Oh my God, that little, I won this one. And listen, canvases beat you down all the time. They will beat you up. Art will beat you up.
Yeah. But the little canvases, especially the ones you do outdoors from direct observation, they will inform the big paintings. They will inform them because, like I studied with Matt Smith years ago, and he would call the camera.
Shout out to Matty.
Hey, Matt Smith.
What did they call? I took a workshop from Matt Smith, and they called him Bill Anton called him Matt Man. We called Michelle wanted to go paint with Bill Anton live horses, and said we're with Matt Smith, and he goes, "Oh, what's the Mat Man doing? And I went, Mat Man. He goes, yeah, Mat Man. I'm like,
no.
Matt Smith. And when I told him that, he goes, who did you talk to? How do you know that? Anyways, that's my Matt Smith story.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's an observational painter for you. He is a king of observational painting.
Oh, I know. He is. And what he calls the camera is the one-eyed liar.
What?
Yeah. Because the camera doesn't give you all the information.
I love that. The one-eyed liar.
The one-eyed liar. And so what I find happens is when I paint outdoors a lot, I'm noticing nuance that the camera, even a good camera, will leave out. You know, it will still, you know, knock the reflected light out of a dark green shadow.
It averages everything out. Yeah.
And so it's interesting. You know, when you actually get out there, I was painting a waterfall one time. So high contrast waterfall in sunlight.
Yes.
And my habit is when I plein air paint, I usually take a photo of the scene before I start painting, just in case something goes sideways, you know, like a hurricane blows up or, well, a million things can happen, right? So I'd taken this photo and I had a good camera, you know, really current SLR. It was a great camera. And I bracketed, I exposed, you know, for the light and for the dark.
Yes.
Because it was a great scene. And I thought, well, I'm going to do this plein air study and then I'm going to do a big studio piece from it.
Yes.
And I went to do the studio piece from the photo reference, and I had the plein air piece there, and I thought, none of this information is in my photo that I had
None of
captured
it.
in my
It
plein
won't
air.
be, no.
Like all of these subtle, you know, as the water turns from light and it changes into these
even the drawing
impossible
that
colors.
you did is so different from the photo because the photo, you know, it condenses things and your perspective is off in the photo that you're drawing.
Well, and it also freezes a moment in time.
It does.
I mean, the plein air painting is an experience.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's a way of having us sit in the environment instead of just always passing through and going click, 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 click.
Yes.
Right? And so it's a whole different experience. And, you know, even, you know, I see a lot of students saying, I want to paint, you know, moving water. And they're trying to paint it the way the photograph has frozen it. Like someone like Richard Schmidt. Now there's a dude that could paint moving water.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I know.
You
right?
know, and he always said, you know, that like the photo is going to give you edges that wouldn't occur to you in real life.
Never.
So, I mean, observational painting, whether it's the figure or the landscape, I think should be a part of every painter's learning and growth and expansion. You know,
I get blown away all the time teaching people. And well, listen, I'll tell you a story about the guy right behind the desk there, Ryan, driving along. And he asked me something about the sky one time. And he said something about, what's the sky doing? And Dad, you know, you paint, I think he's like 8. The sky's doing that, whatever. And then 2 years later, we're going camping and we're driving along. And Ryan goes, Dad, look at the cerulean blue at the bottom of the sky and how ultramarine it is at the top. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, I see that. He said, I didn't see it till you pointed it out. And then I see it in your paintings. Now I see it all the time.
And now he can't not see
Now
it.
he can't not see it, right?
True
so
that.
you tell someone and you go, yeah, but there's purple in there. And they're like, you smoke what? And I'm like, you put a little purple in. They look at it and go, oh, that looks good. And then they look over and go, there is purple there. Until they see it. But how do you, some people you can't, you got to teach them that. And I remember seeing that. I remember Lori Putnam showing me colors I'd never seen before and they were right before my eyes. I'm like, how did I not see that? But when, like you said, once you see it, now you can't unsee it. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't show up in paintings so sometimes studio, you have to remember this.
Yep.
You have to remember and go, I know I've been outdoors enough that this will happen. This is there. I can put this in, and boy, outdoors will beat you down, but it will teach you as well.
Oh, it will beat you down. You know, it's very humbling. I was telling my students, I mean, just coming off of teaching a big stint of plein air here, and I was telling my students, you know, when I first started plein air painting, I used to wipe off at least 50%.
Oh, easy.
And
and
now
cry and go home and cry and take them home, and they were dark and they were dismal, and you kind of thought, I got this, and you'd bring them home and go, oh my God, I'm hopeless, this is useless, I can't believe it.
You know what I've come to experience, and I know our conversations, and particularly around plein air, but I'm just sort of in this plein air space this week, is just that it's what can absolutely just make you a better painter. Like, I was stalled out years ago. I remember looking at paintings I'd done 2 or 3 years previous and thinking, I haven't gotten any better. And I thought I need to start working from life again. So I started go plein airing. Up in the Yoho was my first time. And I was so poorly packed. Oh my gosh, it was just an absolute gong show. And I wrote in my journal after my first day of plein air painting, I will never be a plein air painter. It is just too damn hard. And, then I went through a stage in my life years later where I was going through a really rough transition with a divorce. And I have a cousin who lives in Santa Barbara.
Ooh.
And she said, pack up your painting gear and come on down and paint. For a month, I painted on the beaches in Santa Barbara. That's when I fell in love with plein air.
Well, duh.
I just, I began to feel joy bubble up again, and just think, okay, so this marriage of being in nature, being on a sunny beach in January in bare feet, that was no small thing, and just being still in that nature and letting the nature be around me, like I say, instead of passing through it.
Yes.
And I had an experience where I was painting on a beach for probably. I'd been there at least an hour. And I decided to stretch my legs, just go for a little walk. And all this time I'd been painting, I was surrounded by seals. I thought they were rocks. They were sleeping on the beach. And
funny.
as I walked closer, I could see them begin to move. And there were all these pups.
Like
little seal
awesome.
pups. Yeah. And so, these kinds of beautiful little gifts that you get when you just hold still, they come to you. And, that's not something that happens in the studio. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love a hot coffee and a big canvas. And
I know. They're both.
It's great.
No, you learn to paint outdoors by painting indoors. And to be a good indoor painter, you need to paint outdoors. They teach you both. Both teach you what you need to know.
I think so.
The colors are all outdoors. The skill set that needs to be done is indoors. They both help you. But listen, okay, so I'm going to tell you a funny story. John, I don't know if you know who John Burton is, but he's kind of a California painter. I went to California. This is when I was taking the Randy Sexton workshop, actually. And I was driving back to wherever to go to the airport, but I saw this guy way, way out, like maybe a kilometer or half a kilometer out on some point painting. And I'm like, hey, that dude's painting. And I stopped to take a picture of this area because it was cool. And I noticed he's painting. I'm going to go talk to him. But I did notice that he had like a pretty cool plein air setup. It wasn't Mr. Chubby guy with a big giant hat and a French easel. Mm-hmm. He had a little plein air kit, and I recognized that's an open box M. I said right away, I know what that is. So I walked all the way out, and I know he's painting, and I know he's thinking, oh, good God. This dude isn't going to walk all the way out and talk to me, is he? And I walked the whole way out. And the minute I got up there, I looked and I go, are you a painter? I said, my aunt paints. And he looks at me. I go, dude, I'm kidding. I said right away. I said, I'm totally joking. You have an open box M. I know you're a painter. I'm an artist too. And he's like, oh, thank God. He said, I can't believe you walked all the way out here. Anyways, I talked to him, and he had a 16 by 20 on his easel. He had an 18 by 24 on the ground that he'd painted that morning. And I asked him about this, and he said, I've struggled for years. For years, I struggled because I've been in the studio painting from photos, and I don't get it. And everyone says, you got to go outside. You got to go outside. So he said, 2 years ago, I decided I'm going outside, and I'm going to paint for 1 year outside only and just see what happens. I don't care if I sell. I don't care what happens. 1 year. He goes, I am now 2.5 years in. I haven't used one photo in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then I looked at him. I said, really nice. I love that. And I think that is really, really good. I said, however, you live in California.
Yeah.
I said, I live in Alberta. summer was on a Thursday last year. So I'm pretty much,
And the mosquitoes were bad on that day.
And they were. So I'm like, I wish I could do that all the time. And he looked at me and said, you probably can. You can make ways to do it. That's when I started truck painting and going out and said, no, you can find ways to make this happen. And I did. And it's important. I think it's really important to get in touch with nature.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I actually have never truck painted.
Oh, well.
Yeah, there's a conversation.
Guess we're going
Ways
to
and
Langley to
means.
truck paint. I don't know why you truck paint in Langley. It's nice all the time. Like,
It's
again, you
not.
live in Langley or you live in Manchester Falls. Where do you live, Matt? Winchester? You live in Walton's Grove or something.
Walnut Grove.
Walnut Grove. You live next door to the
Close.
Waltons, right?
Yeah, sort of. But
right.
we have a beautiful area to paint called Pit Meadows. So this painting here is Pit Meadows, and it's just all mountains meet water and tall cottonwoods, and I love painting in there because there's just so much to paint, and it's really taught me that you can go back to the same subject matter over and over again, and do completely different paintings. But I did go out on a cold winter day with my Strata box, which is metal.
Yeah.
And it was like minus 15 Celsius. And
That's a warm day, folks, in Alberta.
I was so cold and miserable as I was packing up my titanium white went so stiff, and I was using mediums.
Dude, keep
but
it in
it's
your
still,
breast pocket. You got to keep it close to the heart. Keep it warm.
I don't have a breast pocket. It's stuck in my bra, I suppose. Next time I'll think of that.
All
But
right.
I honestly,
That's a visual I'll never.
I was sorry about that. I was so cold. Like I was dressed for it, and I'd put in hot paws, but they don't keep your fingers warm. And so I've since learned how to hack that. But my hands were so frozen that I picked up my box. I couldn't even get the quick release. Couldn't even get my Strata off the tripod.
Right.
And I closed the lid like this, and I just opened the back of my car, and everything just kind of went in like that.
I'm crap if it's cold too. I don't paint. I can't paint in the cold. But when I truck paint, it's like this magical thing that is the best of both worlds. I've got my what's her name, Teresa Williams, the steering wheel easel. I have my steering wheel easel. Look that up, man. I swear.
I gotta get one.
Oh my God. You'd think, duh, it's like the dumbest thing. It's the greatest thing. I have my turp pot, but here it is. I am physically outdoor painting, but I kind of got the talk radio on, and I got a warm beverage right there.
Okay, but I just got to
and
ask you.
It's like indoor, outdoor at the same time. It's awesome.
But I just got to ask you. I just took a look at your studio. What does the inside of your truck look like?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I kind of do.
You know. You were just in my truck, and you didn't complain about the paint.
Okay, no, I didn't notice copious amounts of paint.
No, you didn't. But we'll take a film of your ass on the way out, and there's probably red on it.
Yeah,
So.
CAD red would be the best. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that.
I've got that on the upholstery in my car.
My truck has paint in it. Yes, it does, and it's a disaster. So, yeah. Look, my truck it's a work vehicle. I use it for work. I use it for I do deliveries. I haul paintings. I take it to the gallery.
Sure.
Look. I don't have a Lexus. I'm not a fancy guy. I got a goddamn Chevy truck. That's it. That's all it is. And I use it for painting, and I'm not worried about it. And I paint with a friend of mine. Shout out to Jackie Broadfoot. She's my kind of other outdoor painter friend that we kind of have this thing where we go painting together. And she has a Tesla, and she shows up and goes, okay, she gets in my truck, and away we go. You ain't painting in my Tesla. And she admits it. She goes, I'm a prima donna. I don't want it. Nope. And I'm like, and it's maybe not her, but her husband, Mike, would kill me if I got paint on that car. It's a beautiful car. But listen, my truck is utilitarian. I paint in it. It's okay. It's part of my studio.
Well, it's just like your clothes need to be that way, and your studio,
Welcome to the paint on my clothes, yes.
Yeah, I changed before I came, but you should have seen me before I got cleaned up. I just, it was bad. CAD yellow was actually the culprit today.
Oh,
Backpack strap dragged through some CAD yellow, and
isn't it always something hits you, something touches you, and then it migrates, right?
it was on my tripod. It was on my quick release. It was on the back of my paint box, and I'm like, where is it coming from? Stop it! But no,
yeah,
it just goes.
I hear you. I hear you. So, where's the most exotic place you've painted?
Most exotic.
Where's the worst place you painted? What's the most nightmare you had outdoor painting then? I know I just threw 30,000 questions at you.
Yeah. Well, I've had some great experiences and some horrible experiences. One that stands out in my mind was when I went heli painting in the Bugaboos.
Ooh, was that with Robert Gann? Did you do the Robert Ganny buggy
I went with my
thing?
friend Liz Wilson.
Oh, Liz, I know Liz. Excellent.
And we went just to paint. It wasn't a workshop. We just went up
Do you
there
know
to
what
paint.
she's doing? I haven't heard anything from her. Like,
She's found a new calling. She's doing beautiful podcasts. I think her podcast is called Tracking Yes. And she's doing all kinds of interesting other things. She might return to painting one day. I hope she does.
but she's not really painting? God, she was a kick painter.
Yeah, good
Kick
painter.
painter. She got it, yeah.
Good painter. But she took me up to the Bugaboos.
Yes.
And she used to work for CMH.
What's that?
Canadian Mountain Helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
That do the trips up there.
Yeah.
And so she was like a heli hiking guide for some years.
Yes.
And so she took me up there. It was a wonderful trip. And I had an Ella Prima Pashad box. And I also had the panel carrier and the 8x10 panel carrier and the 8x10 box. And I grabbed the panel carrier instead of the box. Went way up high, dropped off with the helicopter, and I was missing my painting box.
Oh my God. I can't imagine how much that cost. Like a helicopter, like hello, lots of darling arrows. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done some really stupid stuff like that. When, a student gets on location, they say, I can't believe I forgot my XYZ. I'm like, oh, I got a story for you.
Yeah, right.
So,
you understand, yes.
Yeah. So, cool thing I had happen. I was painting in a meadow in Santa Barbara, and I was sort of choked up on my brush, and I felt this weight on my brush, and a little songbird landed on the end. I felt like Snow White.
Ah, cool.
I know.
Wow.
So yeah, I just, I was telling my students today that just about all of my favorite experiences as an artist have been plein air painting. Just the adventures, the places that you might go. Like, actually being on the coast in some place like Pacific Grove, and you can feel the vibration of the pounding surf, and you can hear it. You got the salt spray happening, and spending a whole day in that environment, and just sort of, and when you look at that painting later on, it transports you right back. Just like
that whole thing is in. That's part of the plein air thing. It's
like a diary.
It is. I've said a million times before. 20% underdone is better than 2% overworked, and that underdone raw. Whatever you have in that painting outdoors, you can't ever make that happen indoors. There is something magical about an outdoor painting. Something
visceral about it.
It is. Right? It's raw. It's so raw.
I'm a much tidier painter than you are, but I still feel like I don't feel tidy when I'm painting. I feel focused. I'm not as loose with my paint, which that might be coming. But I feel a quickening when I'm out there painting. I feel a kind of quickening that I don't usually in the studio. And it has to do with the level of maintained concentration that it takes. That's what makes it like a meditation for me.
Yes, I know. You get in the zone, and even though you can I can't say this, you get in the zone and you're there, but you need a break, and you walk away from it for a sec to shake it off. But you never really leave the zone. It's like a hockey player. He sits on the bench for a minute to rest, but he is right there. He is right there. And then you take a break, you walk around, you look at something else, you kind of stand back from your painting, but then you go right back in again. It's this intensity that's very Zen-like. It's not physical, but it's Zen-like, totally.
Well, and I think painting from life, or even drawing from life, because you've got a time pressure, and it can go sideways very quickly. Your painting always tells you when you're mucking up, right?
No,
if you're getting it wrong.
Yes.
It like, no, I don't think so. What were you thinking? But it always, if you're not in the present moment, you will lose the plot.
Absolutely.
If you start, I see students, I see myself doing this. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, we're all always students. if my focus isn't there and you start doing, what I call licking, which just sort of mindless moving paint around like la 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 la,
waiting
la, la,
for
la.
that something to happen instead of
Or
controlling
thinking,
it.
or thinking that, you will be heard for your much speaking. Like if I just keep moving paint around, I keep making marks, it's going to get better. And it's not. It's actually going to get diluted. It's like someone that, is trying to tell a joke and they take half an hour to tell it instead of 2 minutes. It just, or someone gets up to preach a Sunday sermon and they take 2 hours instead of the 15 minutes, and you can't even remember. You can't even remember what the point was. Like, what was that about?
My dad always said the best sermon has a really strong beginning and an even stronger end, and very little in between.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
that's true with painting too. I mean, don't you find? An analogy that I love is that painting is a little bit like flying. Most of what can go wrong happens in the first 15 minutes.
I've said that all the time.
Yeah.
I say all 90% of the problems in your painting occurred in the first 5 minutes. It's always in your setup, your composition, your drawing. It's
the bones.
It is. It's the structure. If you don't have the structure, you're out to lunch. I don't care what kind of house you build. I really don't care. I don't care if you build a weird Munster house with turrets and points and weird and it's all crazy. All I care about is that the structure, the foundation of the house is on cement. It's solid. It's good. After that, I don't care what you do with your house. But if you have a weak structure, whatever you do with the rest of the painting, I'm sorry, it's never going to hold up.
And has this ever happened to you? I know it's happened to me. Is that you've tackled a large canvas without doing enough planning first?
Oh my God. How many? Oh my God. That's the story of my life.
And then you get 75% of the way through it. And you're like, the design's not working.
Oh, listen, what you can do on an 8x10 design wise with a big fat brush and alter things, no problem. I can fix that. You can't take this dot of an area on an 8x10 that is now this big on a 30x40 and go, yeah, I got to fix that. No, oh my God. It takes way more planning than you thought on a big one. And I am negligent of that hugely. Yeah. I think I can just jump right in and I'm going to make that thing sing just like the other one. Oh my God, I get beat down all the time.
Well, it's like you've got to do a major surgery as opposed to like in a plein air painting. Especially when I'm demoing, I'll wipe out 2 or 3, like I'll start making shapes and too many of them be the same. I'll just change that. And it's smaller so you can see the whole thing at one time as opposed to a large canvas that you're too close to.
You're focusing on that area. You can't see the big picture.
Yeah, and you just want to get the canvas covered and you don't spend enough time
absolutely
planning. And
absolutely. I've always said there's nothing worse than being 2 hours into a painting and you've got to do a barnectomy and totally change your barn and like, oh my God, forget it. You're having price.
Exactly.
I love it. All right. Okay. I'm going to throw a question out at you. Favorite art book? Do you have a favorite art book?
Oh yeah.
Anything that changed you that said, that was
Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting.
I know, right? Well, I know how bad is that the greatest art book ever on landscape painting ever written is $14.95.
And it's in black and white.
Right? I know.
Whose idea was that?
I know. Okay, come on. Now throw me another book, though. I know. I not that that's wrong.
Richard Schmidt.
Yeah, he did help me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Everything
I'll give you that. And when he said, when I read the book, and he said, I think there's a lot of rules to painting and you can break all the rules, but as close to a law as I know is if you have warm light, you have cool shadows and vice versa. He said, that's a law. And I was like, I think that's a law now too. I look now that I see that. And if I do that, my paintings sing better because if I have warm light, I'll have cool shadows. If I have cool light, I'll have warm shadows. I think that was a big, huge, like, oh my God moment for me.
Well, and to understand that that's all relative. Like cooler than what, warmer than what, right?
Yeah, I know. And everybody asks you like, oh, that means you have blue shadows and red light. No.
Yeah.
But but that
Just
when I
relatively
read that,
speaking,
because
yeah.
that to me was like, oh my God. And then it took me, that's not a, oh, I totally get that. That was like 2 years of, oh yeah, I sort of get that. Yeah, I'm working on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a favorite Richard Schmidt quote. He said, if you put the right color in the right shape, in the right value, in the right place, all the rest is duck soup.
I know. It's like painting is easy. These went out. Yeah. Sorry. Can you hear me?
No.
No.
No. We gone dead, man.
We gone dead. And we're back.
There he is.
Okay. I read that and he basically said painting's easy if you just do everything right. And I sort of thought, oh, you duh. And he said, but the point that I thought about that was that if you have 37 things wrong with your painting, how do you find a wrong thing? If you have most things right and one thing wrong, the wrong thing will stand out. So for me, the learning lesson was don't just go, I'll fix that later. I know it's wrong and move on. Make sure you're as correct as you can be at the time you can be in your painting. So if something is wrong, it'll show up. And that for me was great. I just, I'm like, okay, that's wrong. I have to fix that. At this point, it still may be wrong, but it's as right as I can get it. And then I'll move on and then it may show up.
That's brilliant.
That was just so good for me to just go, just keep being right. Keep being right.
Well, and the thing is, if you make one wrong decision, it's kind of like life that way, right? You make a wrong decision, another wrong decision springs from that, and another wrong decision to try and fix the first wrong decision. It's like dominoes, and like we were talking about that structure. If you don't get a good, strong start, then, the painting should, this is a Richard Schmidt quote too. Man, I've read that book 15 times, is that as a painting progresses, it should get easier instead of harder. If it's getting harder, like you're back engineering and having to do surgery, that means you never got out the gate properly. Failure to launch.
Absolutely. So good. So good.
It is, isn't it?
So, what does your sock drawer look like?
Oh,
are you tidy? Do you have like organized socks? Or are you
no? Oh no. I'm sort of like clean on the outside, messy on the inside.
All right.
Yeah.
They're all clean but disorganized on the drawer.
It's a jumble.
It's a
jumble out there.
It's a jumble. It's just it's funny. I've hired a lot of people for the store. And I finally came to the conclusion I can't get any answer until I ask you, what does your sock drawer look like? And it's not that I want the answer of what your sock drawer looks like, but you throw a question at someone like that, and if they get flustered and can't answer it, then you know what you're dealing with. If they like, I don't understand what you're saying, and like, what has that got to do with work and whatever? But if they just answer you straight up, or they're like, my sock drawer is a disaster and it has nothing to do with work, but anyways, it is. Or, they're very tight and organized. You get a feeling for the way the person is, but you also get a feeling for they can't handle a thrown question.
Are you hoping that they say that their sock drawer is orderly?
I don't care what it's like. I care.
I
care how you come back with me at the answer. So,
how's your sock drawer?
My sock drawer has every sock. I put them together. I roll them up. They're in bundles, and I put all the ones with red on the bottom together, and all the ones with blue on the bottom, and everything. Because all my paints have socks. All my socks have paint all over them. Because I go downstairs in my underwear and paint my underwear and my socks, and they're all laughing. These guys are laughing and going.
That's a lot of information.
It is.
It's a lot of information.
I have been known to paint in my underwear, and as Michelle will attest, in the winter I paint in my underwear and my thing, but I take the insoles out of my winter boots and I just wear those kind of like booties because it's warm.
Okay, so cold. I'm getting this weird visual right
terrible.
Now. I'm thinking
you're gonna edit this out. Edit.
Tidy whities. That's just.
Oh, I don't wear tidy whiteys. Definitely.
Okay, I'm more comfortable with that. Strangely.
Yeah, never mind. Anyways, we edit. All right. Okay. All right.
Not.
All right. Okay. So Do you paint? Do you plein air alone? Do you just get up and go out and paint sometimes, or do you? Is it? I mean, that's a kind of. I say that's kind of a female thing. Like sometimes chicks would never. I shouldn't say chicks, but girls wouldn't want to go out alone like that. Where lots of times I've gone out and painted. I just go paint. I don't care. Whatever,
I do too.
But.
I do too. In fact, the problem often is when you go out with somebody, and I love painting with my friends, and I do that. But the problem is that I've got an idea about what I want to paint, and where I want to paint, and when I want to paint, and how long I want to paint.
Yeah, you got to have a time. You got to have a buddy that's a time buddy that paints kind of the same timing as you. You don't want someone who's like, oh God, I'm waiting for you forever. It's 3 hours later, or someone who's like, let's go somewhere else. I hate this.
That's right. Or somebody that doesn't want to have a cold beer after.
Oh, what? Okay, we're painting together now. Right now, we should
absolutely celebratory cold libations afterwards to celebrate the day.
Oh my God, the people I painted with, like I'd be still painting, and if you heard that and a beer cracked, you were like, you'd better finish because somebody only brought 6 beer, and if you're not done, there ain't any beer for you when you're done. So you hurry up. And my buddy Jerry, always. He knew how fast I painted. He painted a little slower, but he'd be way over in the corner and he'd yell out, Swinton, what size is your brush? And I'd go, I don't know, a number 2. He goes, you need to quit. Once the dinky brush came out, he knew, you're overworking it. Go home and have a beer. Get her done, baby. You're done. And he knew to call me out. And man, he was right every single time. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So, okay, couple last questions. You're on a desert island. You got one group to listen to, one album, one group, one band. What are you listening to? Are you a music person? Do you have music in the studio?
Yeah.
Let me ask you more questions before you even answer.
Maroon 5.
What?
Love Maroon 5.
Wow.
Yeah. I really
you like
Sting.
what's the guy? Adam Levine? What is his name?
Oh, yeah, Adam Levine.
Wow.
Yeah. If I was 30 years younger. And I enjoy all the classics, Eagles and Beatles from back from the day, that's, but that was such good music. It's timeless.
Hello, I know.
Yeah, that's what, if I'm listening, that's the kind of stuff I listen to. Like, it's got to be.
Do you play music
melodic.
in the studio when you paint?
Sometimes. You know what I do more than anything else, though? I listen to podcasts.
You do, hey?
Podcasts and TED Talks. And
yeah, see, my buddy Jerry does that too. And that I can't, I tend to want to listen to that, so I can't concentrate on painting.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, though. It seems to keep my monkey mind busy. Well, the other part of my brain paints. It's a weird thing. I know.
I understand. Yeah.
But it depends on the day. Like, it really changes from day to day what I want to listen to when I'm painting. Depends on the mood. But I find if there's music, I start moving around and it's harder for me to paint. Like, I love music, and I'm a girl that dances around the house when nobody's watching, because that's the only sensible place to do it. But in the studio, I tend to more listen to stuff that sort of keeps. So what happens especially if I've got a great big canvas going, like a 36 by 48 is big for me, and I get frustrated and I start wanting to leave the easel. Yeah. And if I'm listening to something that has my attention, then I just suck it up and I keep going.
Interesting.
Because, when you're painting full time, well, I don't paint full time. I teach and I paint. But, when you're trying to make a full-time living out of it, like, I can't afford to be wandering away from the easel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've just found that sort of settles that niggly part that goes, oh, this is, it's so hard. I don't, you get all pissy. I had people saying that today in class, it's so hard. I'm like, it's so hard, So I've decided that the noun for, the collective noun for a group of plein air painters should be a wine of artists.
That's all right, yes.
So
we're all whiny out there, yeah.
The light changed. It was like this, but now it's like that. And the wind is picking up, and
listen. Okay, so years ago, we were outdoor painting in Kananaskis, and I went with a group of people that would go and rent something in Kananaskis that we rented the William Watson Lodge, and we'd all paint together. There's got to be maybe 20 of us. And every year they rented this, and we'd take this downtime and rent this little thing, and then we'd all go out and paint. So it's got to be, I don't know, -10, Kananaskis Lake. It's windy. And I'm painting, my buddy Jerry's painting, and I'm frozen. And I'm like whiny. I'm like, I hate this. My painting sucks. And it's, what's the paint out in this wind and whatever? Like, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I out here? Anyways, Jerry comes to me and goes, dude, I'm totally frozen. Let's go in the van for a minute. I had a little van under like a soccer van, a soccer mom van, with my kids. Anyways, we got in the van and I turned the van on and we have our hands on the dashboard with the heater so we can get our hands warm because we're cold. And we look out and the two people that we were painting with who are like at this point, way older than we are. Like they're in their 70s at this point, and we're probably like 30. Maybe I'm 40 and he's 30. We're frozen, and the one lady, her name was Jimmy. Her dad. It's a long story, but her name was Jimmy. And Jean Geddes has her toque and her earmuffs on, and she's painting. Jimmy's out there like with no toque, nothing, and she's smoking, and she's like painting. And Jerry looks at me and says, "My God, dude. We are whipped bad. We are just like, this is terrible. Look at Jimmy's out there." Anyways, I get out and I said to Jimmy, I'm like, how can you do this? How can you do this? I said, it must be freezing. She goes, I grew up in the 30s, whatever. This isn't even cold. And I go, how do you even like this? And she goes, "Do you see my husband?" I go, "No." "That's why I'm liking it. He's not here. He won't come out. He's a wimp too." I laughed and she'd do gouache paintings outside at -15. I'm a wimp, and
now that's a true badass painter.
I'm a lightweight when it comes to the weather for sure.
I tend to be, but I tell you, speaking of Liz, I went painting with her on the Yoho years ago, and we got started too late. And it was September, and the light was already low. We got to where we're going. It started to get a little dusky. Then it started to snow. Liz sets up a tarp in the dusk and starts painting. I soon left and found my way back to the Elizabeth Parker hut.
Oh, I have been there. Yeah.
She stayed up there and she's painting. It was so funny. When she finally made it back and she was late and I was worried because it was dark. She was up there with one other person, and her painting is just all these big snowflakes in the foreground, like she couldn't see even what she was painting. And I thought, now that is a keener.
Yeah, I love it.
So, I am a bit of a fair weather painter, but I have painted in Ireland. I painted on the outer Atlantic coast, windy, cold.
Cold wind coming over there, right?
And I had a ball cap tied to my head with a scarf, and a down vest and down coat, snot dripping out of my nose. Hailstones.
Rouge shearing on the beach and
and hailstones in my Bashad box. I had to keep, dumping it over. I've kept that little plein air painting.
I love it.
I've kept it, and I always will. Some of those plein air paintings are not ever going to leave my possession because it's like a page of my life.
Yes.
It's an experience. Like that was extreme painting, baby.
Love it.
Yeah. So
love it.
There are those moments.
So where are you going? What's next? What do you have a next? Do you think about next?
Well, I have a schedule, but next for my actual painting, like I don't know.
Are you missing something you want to do?
That's a good question. I'm just remaining open and curious. I would like to just keep getting better at what I'm doing. And, I actually want to turn that question back on you. Am I allowed to do that?
Of course,
it's your podcast. What is it that is in you to paint that you haven't painted yet? Like, where do you want to go in terms of like painting a subject matter maybe that you've always thought about painting that you've never gotten to? Is there something like that for you? I know you paint a lot of stuff.
I do.
But what have you not dug into yet that you want to?
I don't know that I found something that I haven't, but so it's just so, okay. So lately it's so weird. I I plein air paint. I paint landscapes and I paint nudes and whatever. And I kind of flip
Yeah.
back and forth between them. And then all of a sudden, I paint some shoes and I painted a couple of vodka bottles and a whiskey glass and this and that. And this arrow just keeps going everywhere. And so I kind of went down this road with all this weird stuff. And it's a little, sometimes maybe more illustrative, except it's not illustrative, it's painterly. And as soon as I do that and everything's fine, I just go to paint a mountain and all of a sudden this mountain comes out and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, dude, you just painted that. And I listen, everyone knows I'm the harshest guy on myself. I hate everything I paint. I don't like it. I'm always crabby, blah, blah, blah. And I want to be better. It's not that I hate it, but it's just because it's not because I don't hate me or whatever. I just want to be better. I want to be better. Yep. And I'm hard on myself. I don't have a coach. I don't have a guy behind me going, skate harder. You can do better. Yeah. I don't have that guy. I have to be that guy. So I have to be, at the end of the day, the guy that pats myself on the back and goes, dude, you rocked it today. You went downstairs and you got there. However, you need to do better. That's not good. And some days suck and some days aren't. But I'm the only guy that I'm my own coach. And it's hard to be the dude and the coach at the same time.
Yeah.
So I go all over the map painting all these things. Then all of a sudden I paint this mountain and I'm like, wow, that's a step up. And then I hit this vein and you paint all these mountains and you're like, holy crap, these are really, really good. Maybe this is where I should go. And then all of a sudden you paint another pair of shoes and 15 people call you going, I'll buy that right now. I'll buy that right now. And then you're like, okay, I'm confused now. I don't know what to do. I kind of like that. But so I don't know.
So you are impacted by the market demand.
A little bit.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
how can you not be, right?
Vodka's expensive. How are you going to pay for your vodka?
I get that.
But, okay, so a lot of places go, like a lot of people will do this. My arrow is doing this. It kind of keeps doing this. And I'm pretty sure it's going to slow down and do that. I don't know what that is, but it seems to be all over. AC/DC just went like this and said, this is what we do, and they never deviated from it. Right? Def Leppard did this and then kind of went like that, and that's cool too. Mine seems to be doing this. At some point, it's going to end up here. I don't know where that is, but I'm open to painting everything. And I think for me, I'm ADD, so I get bored. I'll paint like you're like, talk about your waves. Talk about your waves. Talk about your waves. You're in a wave move. You said I'm in a wave. I'm having a wave.
Yeah, so it actually started with a trip up to the Great Bear Rainforest. Do you know where that is?
I do not.
Okay, so if you go over to the island, Vancouver Island, and then go as far north as you can on the island, then you take a ferry or a plane across to
Point Hardy or whatever.
Port Hardy, and then over to Bella Bella, and then you go north by boat.
I've been to Bella Bella, yes.
Then you go north by boat.
Ooh, that's getting up there now.
So the Great Bear Rainforest is coastal BC and some islands right off the coast that are sort of between that point and moving towards Alaska. And it's pristine. And I got a chance to go up with a group of painters.
Susan Contini, we're going to the Great Bear Rainforest. We're going, that's our next trip. Let's do it.
There you go. And the beaches up there are magnificent. It's open ocean. It's where Enbridge wanted to put their supertanker route. Boo. And it's like the Hecate Strait, and it's very crazy wild tides, crazy weather, crazy everything. It's wild country, and it's pristine. You know, that the ecosystems in that area are like they were 1,000 years ago. And I got the chance to paint on those beaches. I've been up there 3 times now. And just... you know, they're so vast and the waves are so beautiful. And I was mesmerized. So I painted plein air there for, I don't know how many days on several different occasions. And that was, over 10 years ago. I got on a roll, pardon the pun. And I haven't left it yet. Like, I'm not finished exploring that subject matter. So I do paint other things. I do like to paint other things. But I'm finding I'm feeling especially exercised in my spirit over trying to capture various aspects of the topography of the ocean, like how it moves, what it does, how it...
No, but you do. So it's a double. You get into something that you didn't know that you kind of get good at, but you want to explore it and get better. And it's just, you want to dive deeper into it and really grasp it.
That's right.
But man, waves, are you kidding me? Paint a mountain. It's still there. And if you sit for an hour, the light's the same.
Well,
okay,
painting plein air waves is
light on a mountain in 2 hours will change. So the mountain changes a little bit. I get it.
Yeah.
But a wave, that's the wave. It's never coming back again. Every wave is like a snowflake. It's single. How do you capture that? Like, fine, take a photo. You can do it. But you've got to paint waves plein air to get the movement, the feeling, it's
a lot of watching.
It is.
And visual memory. So, basically I find what I do when I'm plein air painting waves is to just sit and watch and watch and watch and watch, stroke, 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 watch. And, because you'll get a nice breaker come in, and then, of course, the set changes. Like the sets are mostly 6 waves or so.
7.
Six
I
or
think they say 7, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, and then, of course, as the tide's moving, the same wave never breaks in the same spot in the exact same way. So, just paying attention to the nature of it. And then what I find myself digging into is that little aspect of me that I'm trying so hard to develop, and it doesn't come easily to me, is to just make very, very interesting shapes. Like just, that shape's gone. You remember sort of something about it. But now it's me looking at my canvas and how do I make this into a painting that's got beautiful shapes in it? And I feel like I'm not that good at it yet. That's my learning edge right now as an artist is to make ever better shapes, because we all have that tendency to make the same shape, same stroke over and over again.
And even though you know not to, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, your internal nature is to be repetitive. But David Sharp, the great painter David Sharp, always said, all you have to do is make interesting shapes within that square. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's all a design is.
You have a square and put interesting shapes inside that square. And I'm like, God, he makes it sound so easy, and yet it's so hard.
Well, it's simple, not easy. It's simple, not easy. But if you can get a grasp on the simple, and you practice the simple and lean into the sharp points of that, which is that it's so hard. A wine of artists, right?
It is, but that's back to what we just said. The first 10, 15 minutes of a painting is all in that shape, that you start with those shapes and then do something with that after.
My first husband was a builder, and I'll never forget what it was like for the finishing carpenters to come in if the framers hadn't gotten that completely square. Like if it wasn't properly framed, and the people that are putting on the siding, the finishing carpentry, they just had a nightmare.
Absolutely.
So, I see painters putting on there's an expression you use, putting the flea on the dog.
The fleas, you go to put the fleas on, but if the dog is boring.
Well, yeah. And so when you're trying to, that house, if it's squared, it should get easier and easier as it's going up, because you've done all the hard work of getting it, the foundation right. And if you haven't, then everybody's having to fudge and adjust. All the other workers are having to fudge and adjust. So getting those really beautiful shapes. And I did a demo this afternoon where I changed the shapes 4 times. And I just let the students watch me. I said, I'm tired. My focus isn't that great. It was the end of the day. Everybody else was exhausted. So I decided to do a demo. And I just kept changing these shapes because I thought, those are bad shapes. Those are too much the same. What was I thinking? Change, wipe, change. And I thought, okay, like Richard Schmidt said, never knowingly leave anything wrong on the canvas.
Exactly. Yes.
Preach it, brother.
Preach it, sister.
Preach it.
Jesus. All right. All right. Hey. So I can see by the end of your glass of wine, we've been here. Gaye Adams in the house. Thank you for coming. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for hanging out in our messy podcast room. Thank you for bringing plein air paintings that you've done on the wall right behind you and showing the rawness of what you do, and not bringing gallery finished paintings like that. You're being honest. I love it. I love your honesty. I love your truth. And listen,
you.
so here's a funny thing. We've actually never met, though I've painted behind you for I don't know how many years. Oh, I just took a Gaye Adams workshop. I know I'm next, whatever. I've been following you forever. And I know you'll never remember, but I don't know if you lived in Blind Bay or
I
lived in.
I did.
Because
I lived
my
in Blind Bay
mom
for
took
20
class.
years.
My mom took classes from you, and my mom was a painter, and my mom was the one that I wouldn't say taught me to paint, but my mom taught me to teach because my mom would paint a lemon wrong, and I'd yell at her, "Oh, that's wrong! You got to, Mom, it's not,
do
it's
this."
oval and whatever." And my mom would leave me alone. I'm painting and whatever. But my mom painted, and if it wasn't for her, she was all about the painting. Bless you, Mom, for saying yes to everything art. She was always artistic, and she was
awesome.
But she took classes from you in Blind Bay and said you were the greatest instructor she ever had, which kind of hurt because I thought I helped her a lot too. But
And I'm sure you did.
yeah, whatever. No, you can't teach. You can't teach us your own family to drive or to do anything. Anyways, so listen, and I'm so glad to meet you. Finally, we've met.
And likewise, I've been listening all about you and hearing great things about your painting and your teaching and following your paintings, and it's just lovely to meet the man himself.
All right, Gaye Adams, everybody, woo! Say woo! All right.
Thank you.